Great evening, great evening. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Regina Martin. I am the founder of Scholars with the Purpose, the college experience, and I am so excited to be on the platform tonight. I am so honored to be able to share this information with you through the 10K Global Network that is founded by the CEO, Sunshine, and Sam Mullins is the co-founder, and I'm so glad to be with you guys tonight. So we're going to get started with a couple of things. First of all, I want to give you a little background about myself. I am a mother, a wife, and a higher education professional, and I reside in New Haven, Connecticut, or Hampton, Connecticut, a suburb of New Haven, Connecticut. And as I mentioned, I'm a mother of three children. I am a higher education professional who is employed with a local university here in the state of Connecticut. And I am looking to take this information and empower you with some great nuggets that will help you to learn how to navigate through the college experience. So, for those of you that are listening, I'd love for you to go into the chat and introduce yourself and tell me where you're from. So, just go right in the chat, introduce yourself, and tell me where you're from. I would love to get to connect with you and hear from you and just be able to connect with you. So I'm going to give you a few minutes just to go on the chat and just put your information in there. And while you're doing that, I'm going to just tell you how you can get in touch with me after the broadcast. My website is scholarswithapurpose.org. My Facebook page is at Scholars with a Purpose. My phone number is area code 475-267-9454. Again, my number is 475-267-9454. And I'll repeat all of this information at the end of the broadcast in case you did not get it. So I'm waiting for you guys to jump on in and chime in. I don't want to be talking to myself. And I'm looking forward to sharing this information. Gather some friends together. And I'm going to challenge you right now to tag two of your friends onto this broadcast so that they can be a part of it as well. So you've got two tasks. You've got to let me know who you are and where you're from. But I also want you to tag two people that you know that would be benefit from this information. So there's a question that I'd like to share with you guys as well. What is the biggest fear that you have about your student going to college? Feel free to share with me in the chat what that biggest fear may be. So I can tell you from my own personal experience that being a parent and navigating through the college experience can be a little bit hair-raising. My children, I have I have three children, but two of them are in college. One recently graduated from Norfolk State University, and she got her graduate degree. And then my younger son is going to a college here in Connecticut, and he is in his senior year. So, from a personal experience for me, I think I was nervous. I was scared. I had confidence in my children, but I didn't really have confidence in the process, if you know what I mean. If you can relate to that, just put something in the chat. So, whenever I was starting this journey, I was asking a lot of questions. I had a notebook full of information, and I did lots and lots of research. So, the information that I'm going to share with you tonight is going to allow you to learn about how to research, how to be your student's best support system, and the importance of setting goals and building those all important relationships. So, if you have been following me on my Facebook page, you've noticed that I've been putting some nuggets in there leading up to this workshop. So, I hope that you have a chance to revisit those nuggets and hopefully they were able to be of help to you. So, as I was saying before, I am looking forward to sharing these nuggets and this information with you on tonight. I'm hoping that you guys will be taking some copious notes because the information that I have for you is definitely of value. And I hope that you will be able to reach back out to me and let me know how I did. And if I was able to cover some of those questions that you might have had in regards to getting ready for college. As you know, this is the month of May. The college decision day has taken place. Many rising current seniors have already made their decision about what school they want to go to, and many still students are still trying to decide. But you might have a student who is going to become a senior this year. So this time next year, we'll be able to celebrate your student as they decide what college or university they desire to go to. So I'm looking to see if you have any questions before I get started. If there's anything that you'd like to ask me as it relates to college or the college journey, I would love to hear from you. I would love for you to put something in the chat and just let me know if there's anything I can do to assist you in getting rid of all the nervousness. Because I know for me, as I said, I was nervous, but it all worked out. It all worked out. You just have to ask the right questions, and you have to position yourself to be around those who have those relationships that are going to be of value to you. We're going to talk about those relationships in the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I don't want to belabor the time. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation in hopes that you have your pen and your paper ready to go. So we're going to go on ahead and get started with my student is preparing for college. Now what? So as I mentioned before, the college experience is exciting, but it can also be a very educational experience, not only for yourself, but for your student as well. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. So why are you here? I know that many of you are lost, confused, unsure, unclear, maybe even a little bit disoriented, bewildered, and perplexed. All of those adjectives that are over to your right of the screen. So when you start this journey, you're going to have several questions, and that's perfectly okay. So you're going to have questions that you don't have the answers to right away, but that's where the knowledge and the research come in. So do any of these adjectives describe you? Put something in the chat to let me know that you guys can relate to what I'm saying, because I'm telling you, many of you are probably saying to yourself, I have no clue how to get started. I'm very unclear about the process. I'm very confused about how many forms I have to fill out. I'm even disoriented and bewildered a little bit because I'm trying to figure out what in the world do I need to do? What kind of deadlines do I have to worry about? What kind of people do I have to make sure that I stay connected with? And how, as the parent, am I going to be able to effectively help my student? So as you can see, the questions here are noted, and it says you have questions, but you don't have answers. And as I mentioned, any of these adjectives probably will describe you. And I'm going to go back to the chat and see if you put something in there. Does the word panic happen to come to mind? And I'm sure that many of you can say with a resounding yes, panic, scared, concerned, worry, all of that good stuff. But it's okay, because Scholars with a Purpose is here to help you answer some of those unanswered questions. So you're wondering, who is Regina Martin? And how is it that I have some knowledge on this college experience? And as I mentioned in my introduction, I'm a higher education professional at a local university here. And my role is working with students who are struggling in the college experience in their first year. They come in, they're excited, they're wide-eyed and ready to go, but then trying to juggle college life and being on their own tends to overwhelm them. So they may not perform well academically. So that's where I come in. I work with those students to make sure that they have what it is that they need to be successful as they transition to the next level of their education. They have to go through an appeal process, and once their appeal is approved, I'm responsible for monitoring their progress to make sure that they stay on track. I work in partnership with the main campus advising team to ensure that we are doing our level best to make sure that our students are getting what they need. I am also an adjunct professor for the first year experience, and I have been doing that now for almost 6 years. I really enjoy teaching students and watching their eyes light up and letting their knowledge come alive, especially when it comes to teaching them in person. And we've had to shift around a little bit because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We've had to do some of our classes hybrid, and that has definitely presented a challenge for some of our students as well as our faculty. But we have done our level best to make sure that they're getting what they need, even if we've had to adjust and shift a little bit. I possess a master's of education degree in student success that I attained from Walden University, and I'm the parent of two college students. So, as I mentioned to you before, one of my college students has just recently graduated from Norfolk State University, which is located in Norfolk, Virginia, and she got her master's degree with an emphasis in public relations. So, excited, proud, all of those things. But the journey behind the scenes to get her there was tough. And there are a lot of questions and a lot of work that, as a family, we had to put in the work. And it is a family affair. Even though the college journey is your student's journey, getting them there is a family affair. So, my younger son is currently a senior at a local university here in Connecticut. And he is definitely on that journey. He's very close to graduating on time, and sometimes, like I said, life gets in the way, and students get a little nervous, and sometimes they fall behind in their coursework, which will cause them to maybe not graduate on time. That does not mean that the journey has to end. It just means that your student may have to dig a little deeper to get where they need to go. So enough about me. Let's continue with the rest of the presentation. So some key points that we're going to talk about tonight in this presentation are trusting the process. Whenever you're learning something new, you're going to be nervous, you're going to be overwhelmed, you're going to be anxious, and all of those things above. So just trust the process and trust those people who are experienced in this area to help you to navigate. And believe me, they're used to all kinds of questions. So don't feel like your question is a silly question and it doesn't make sense, because it's okay to not know everything. When I started this journey, I didn't know everything. And even working with students today, if I don't know something, I'm not afraid to ask. And that's the mindset that you should have as a parent. If you just don't know it, you just don't know it. Connecting with the right people, and the right people will connect with you. We're going to talk about those all important relationships and how it is going to impact you as a parent, and how important it is going to be for you to learn about what to say, what not to say, and most importantly, remembering that your student is the star of the show, because you want your student to get in front of these people and you want them to see what you see as a parent. But sometimes, and I'm just going to preface it by saying sometimes we have to pull back just a little bit and let the student be their best advocate and their best representation. Position yourself to win for your student. And what that looks like is taking on those uncomfortable conversations as it relates to finding out where your student is in their college experience journey. Have they thought about going to college yet? Have they been talking to their guidance counselor? Do they want to go to school close to home, or do they want to expand their journey and go out of state? It's perfectly okay if they want to, but again, that's a conversation that the family needs to have. So I'm going to stop for one quick second and just ask you guys, how important is it for you to have that conversation with your student? And are you having that conversation with them now? Have you started asking those questions? Do you know somebody who's gone through this experience and you've kind of pulled some information from them in hopes to um, navigate and learn about it and have some information in your arsenal before you get started? So put in the chat and let me know if this is something that you can relate to and you can resonate with. So I'm going to move on to the next presentation, to the next slide. So Michael Jordan's quote is, "Being nervous isn't bad. It just means something important is happening." Do you ever feel like that sometimes? Like you're all nervous and you're anxious and you're wondering, oh gosh, you have all kinds of scenarios in your head. As a parent, you definitely have those scenarios playing in your head. And it may not have anything to do with college, but it may have to do with your child's well being, if they're doing okay in school, if they're safe in school. And especially, I speak to this because of what the recent developments that have been taking place in the news about what happened in Texas. We send our students off to school thinking that they're going to have their book bag and they're going to just go and just be around students and be excited about learning, never thinking that anything else is going to happen. But in this particular case, as it relates to the college experience, it's okay to be nervous. It just means that you're getting closer to the information that you need for your student to be empowered and ready to learn about what it is they need to do to prepare for college. And even as a parent, sometimes what we have to do is we just have to kind of just let go and just let things be sometimes, because many times we have these conversations in our head about things that are going to happen and they actually don't even happen at all. So that's why I selected this quote from Michael Jordan, because it just means that something is important is about to happen. And as we delve into this conversation about college, it is an important step in a child's life when they take the next level after graduating from high school. So, where do we begin? So, the first thing that I mentioned to you when we got started is having that all important conversation with your student about goals and plans after graduation. Now, if you are the parent of a child that doesn't like to talk much, they just want to say, "Hey, mom," and then they head right to their room, it's okay. But at one point, you're going to have to drag them out of that room and sit them down on the couch and have that conversation. Even if it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, let your student know that you're not trying to disrupt their day, but you just want to have a conversation to see where their head is at about goals and plans that they may have after high school. Your student might pleasantly surprise you by telling you that they already know what they want to do. But the only way you're going to know is if you have the conversation. Setting up an appointment with the guidance counselor. Now, the guidance counselor is the person who is the gatekeeper of your students' grades. They are responsible for making sure that they have conversations with your student to make sure that they are on track to graduate. Now, in the past few years, many of the requirements for graduations have changed as far as what type of classes you have to take and the number of credits you have to have. So, as a parent, it's important that you set up an appointment with the student's guidance counselor just to make sure that your student is on track. I used to do it, and it made me feel a little bit better because at least I was one of those parents that um, was engaged, and I made sure that I asked the right questions because I wanted to make sure that my student was not only prepared for graduation, but was set to graduate on time. Educate yourself about the student requirements for graduation and create a timeline. So we've already covered that a little bit. So the guidance counselor will be very instrumental in helping you to establish that timeline. And if it's something that you probably need to post in a central place in your house so that you guys can go through that timeline together, it's definitely going to make things a little bit easier because there's going to be a lot of deadlines, as I mentioned earlier on, that students are going to have to adhere to ensure that they get their paperwork in on time to make sure that they're considered for college admission. So, the next thing I wanted to talk about is creating a student and parent account for College Board. So, College Board is probably the holy grail of college readiness. It has a lot of information that can help you as a parent and your student at the same time. Now, your student has probably already been introduced to College Board through their guidance counselor, but it is important that you also, as a parent, set up an account as well. And the reason that I say that is because there's a lot of resources in College Board that can help you as a parent as you navigate. and you try to figure things out, there may be questions in the College Board platform or dashboard that have already been asked. So you'll have that little sense of relief knowing that you're not by yourself. So these important relationships, very, very important. So the two that I'm going to highlight tonight are the guidance counselor and the college admissions counselor. The guidance counselor is the one who provides the student with support to determine their plans after high school. Now, your student may want to go to college, they may want to just start working, or they may want to go into the military. So, by doing that, it will help you to understand what type of conversation you need to have with your student. Because, like I said, it's not a one size fits all journey. Your student may not be ready for college right away, and that's not the end of the world. It's better to find out now that they're not ready than to put them through the process and send them to college and have them be unhappy. Because, as I mentioned before, this is their journey, and it's a journey that you should support as a parent. But the conversation needs to be about what they want and how they plan to get there. Assisting the student with the college application process, career options, and scholarships. Many of the guidance counselors that I know have different times during the year where they have an assembly where students can come together and learn about these all important resources. And scholarships are definitely important because that's free money. That's money that students can get in order to finance their education without having to worry about paying it back. So the guidance counselor also meets with students during the marking period or the term, depending on how the school is set up, to discuss their academic progress. Now, one thing that you have to remember about high school and college is the GPA requirement, which is the grade point average, is different. So most high schools, if not all, require you to have a 2.0 GPA to graduate. Now, if your student is a high achiever and they may be a member of the Honor Society and their GPA is higher than that, that's going to open up the door for them to be able to be eligible for other scholarships. Now, this is not to say that the student that makes a 2.0 GPA is not going to be eligible for scholarships, because there are scholarships out there for them as well. So, again, the guidance counselor is going to provide them with some resources that are going to help them to know where to look for these scholarships to get them where they need to go and for them to apply for them so that they can finance their money. Finance their education with the free money that's available. The college admissions counselor. So the college admissions counselor is the one that you're going to meet when you decide to take a college tour. They are the one who is the individual who is responsible for letting you know how to apply for the college and what you need to do to get into the college. Now, this is not to say that they can guarantee your child's entry, but they can give you some tips and tools on how to go through the application process and let you know the information that you need to accompany your college application. Now, they also assist with the college tour on the campus. So they may have an orientation or an information session that invites the student and the parent to sit down to get an overview of the college or the university that your student attends or wants to attend. And what they'll do is they'll be able to have a Q&A session. It's usually about 30 to 45 minutes in total. And then after you meet with them and they do that orientation, then you begin the college tour with the tour guides that they have assigned or the orientation leader. Now, they will also, during the orientation or the information session, provide you with your requirements and expectations for college entrance. So many colleges have the same criteria, but most of them have different criteria. So as a parent, it's very important for you to pay attention to those criterias and making sure that you're taking notes about what you need to do. So I want to ask any of you, if you any parents that are on the line, if you have been on a college tour already. And if you have, tell me in the chat what that experience has been like for you. It's very important to make sure that you make the best of the experience, not wavering or being concerned, but making sure that when you walk away from that college tour, that all of your questions have been answered. So go ahead and put your information in the chat if you have been on a college tour already, and you want to, if you want to share your experience, you could just make a brief overview as to what it was like for you, and what was the one thing that you could take away from it? I'm sure there were plenty of things, but I want you to focus on the one thing that you could take away from that college tour experience. So now we're going to talk about the terms that you should know. So the terms that you should know, as I mentioned, are the GPA, which is your grade point average. You have to have a 2.0 GPA for high school graduation and 3.0 GPA for college admissions. Now, those GPA requirements can vary from college to college and from state to state, but these are the general requirements that I have up on the screen. Your transcript, the student transcript, are where all your student grades are housed. And just so that I'm clear about the transcript and its importance, your college prospect is going to be looking at your students' progress from freshman to senior year. But when they become a senior, they're going to be focusing on how they started their senior year as well as how they ended it. Because if I can share a secret with you, many times a student may be admitted to a college or university based off of their GPA. But if they don't maintain that GPA throughout their last year of high school, the college is within their rights to rescind their admission. Now, a lot of parents don't know that, and a lot of students don't know that either. But I have been around scenarios where friends of my children's have actually been accepted to great universities, and then they felt like once they got accepted that they could just sit back and relax. No, you have got to grind into the very end, because I tell you, if your grades don't match up with what the grades of the GPA that you had when you got in, the college can use their discretion and they can rescind your application or your admission based off of your performance at the end. So that's just something that I want you to keep in the back of your head when you are going through your child's transcripts with them, or when you see how they're doing with their grades. Remind them that getting comfortable is not an option in your senior year. You have to work just as hard in your senior year as you did in the previous years. The unofficial transcript. Now, the unofficial transcript has a process that goes through the guidance counselor at your child's high school. What that unofficial transcript represents is that it has the transcript of your child and their progress, but it must be in a sealed envelope. If the envelope is unsealed, then it's not going to be accepted by the college, because that is the process that they use. The SAT, which is the Scholastic Aptitude Test. Juniors and seniors take this test, and they can take it multiple times. Although I would encourage your student to make sure that they're not over testing themselves. And also, you may want to pay attention to the fact that some schools are not test optional anymore, which is actually a good thing. But I will tell you this: if you find that your child's grade is a little mediocre as far as their academic performance, I would submit the SAT scores anyway, because it might bump up the interest of the college. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case with all colleges, but in some cases, it's a good idea to submit them anyway. The PSAT, which is the Preliminary Scholastic Aptitude Test, which is usually taken by the sophomore and the junior in your life. So they're going to take those classes. They're used those tests, and those usually are tests are taken during school time, or sometimes there may be a Saturday session, because sometimes schools realize that students have extracurricular activities like a sport, or they may work a job, or they may be involved in something else in the school. So sometimes they do offer them on the weekends, but it's very rare. Most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, the PSATs are offered during school hours because they are proctored by the faculty that are in the school. So it's not something that they take lightly. Please let me know. Oops, I went too far. Hold on, I gotta go back. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. I went a little bit ahead of the game here. So here's a continuation of the terms that you should know. The Common Application. This is a single undergraduate college application that has 900 member colleges and universities, probably more by now. At least when I was working with my students, it was about 900, but it might be a little bit more. But you have to write their student has to write essays along with this common application. They will get essay prompts, and they will be responsible for answering that essay in their own words. They'll have to make sure that their grammatical errors are grammatically free, no typos, and it should look nice and neat and easy to read, because colleges and universities definitely pay attention to that kind of stuff. If you turn in something that is not presentable, then it's not going to go well for you or your student, because then you guys are going to have to go through the process again. So working with your student to make sure that their essays are written correctly. If you want to proofread them as a parent, that may be a great idea. Or many times your student will take their essay and have their English teacher take a look at them, because many English teachers are really good and they have that third eye that can see things that we don't see. So encourage your student to either let you take a look at the essay before sending it, or they can have their English teacher take a look at it. The FAFSA. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Now, the FAFSA is the form that a lot of students all over the country get a chance to fill out to try to make sure that they can get some financial support. Now, as a parent, your role in this is twofold. Number one, you have to create what they call a FSA ID, which means that when you fill out the parent side of the FAFSA form, that you'll be able to access your student's form, FAFSA form at the same time. It's highly encouraged for you to not have the same FSA ID, so make sure that your numbers are different. The FAFSA application process begins October 1st of the current year. So in this case, it would be October 1st, 2023. And then again, January 1st of the following year, which would be 2024. So in this particular case, and I'm jumping ahead because I'm saying to myself 2024, so forgive me, I'm just pushing time away. October 21st, 2022 is when you would fill out the FAFSA if you have a rising senior. And the next year would be 2023. So just scratch the fact that I said 2024. We're not there yet, so forgive me. I just probably need to just take a step back and realize that I need to have a calendar in front of me when I'm talking. So the work study is also a great tool to have. The federal work study is a need-based financial component that a student can use to work while they're in school. And they can work on campus or off campus. So it's a great opportunity for your student to learn about how to juggle working as well as maintaining their studies. Believe me, it's not easy. Time management is something that a lot of students have a difficult time with, but as a parent, you're going to be there to help them to navigate it. But let me just say this, parents, once your student gets dropped off to campus and you say goodbye to them, the campus considers them an adult, which means mom, dad, auntie, you can't be calling them and waking them up for class. You cannot go and demand to the professor why your son or daughter got a D on their most recent paper. You can't do that, because as a parent, you want to do that. You want to be able to control the narrative. But unfortunately, with college, that option is pretty much off the table. And I'm going to tell you one way that you can learn about what you can know and what you can't know as we continue on with the slides. Oops. So the next thing we're going to talk about is free money versus loans. So as I talked to you before, scholarships are free money, and they're a means of financial support that can be received based off of a student's academic or scholastic achievement. Or your student can receive a scholarship if they know a member of their family that's a member of a civic organization or a community-based organization. If you are a parent who has someone in the military, if you are a parent who goes to church regularly, if you are a parent who is a part of an organization yourself, there are many organizations that sponsor scholarships. It's not just one lane for scholarships. There's multiple ways for you to finance your child's education. But let me just say, your student has to do the work to do the scholarship application. You cannot do it for them. They have to do the essays or whatever is required in order to get the money that they are seeking to fund their education. And just one other thing, anything that you see that may say no essay required, that usually means that your child's name is going to go into a pot of names with other students to be qualified. It doesn't mean that they're automatically going to get awarded the scholarship. So that's just one trick I wanted to share. The Pell Grant. The Pell Grant is one of the most popular forms of financial aid for undergraduate and graduate students. Now, as I was mentioning before about the FAFSA, there's two different times when the FAFSA can be applied. But let me just remind you before I forget, there are other people across the United States that are applying for the same pot of money. So it behooves you as a parent to make sure that you help your student to make that deadline, and they should not belabor the process. So just keep that in mind. That's another nugget I wanted to share with you, the importance of keeping that deadline with the FAFSA. Because as I said, there's graduate students, there's undergraduate students, there are adult learners that are applying for that same pot of money. So please make sure that you keep that in mind when you begin this process. So direct unsubsidized loans and subsidized loans. This is the area that a lot of parents don't like to talk about because this is where the money has to be paid back. And again, the unsubsidized loans and the subsidized and unsubsidized loans are different. And I'm going to tell you why. As it says in the slide, the subsidized loans are available to undergraduate and graduate students, and there's no requirement to demonstrate a financial need. Direct subsidized loans are available to undergraduate students who do demonstrate a financial need. And the Parent Plus loan, these are loans that are geared towards parents of undergraduate students who are considered dependent. Now, when your child is getting ready to apply for the FAFSA, there's going to be a question on there that's going to be talking about it, whether or not they are a dependent student or an independent student. And most of the time, when they're undergraduates, they're going to be classified as dependent students. And as you fill out the FAFSA form, parents, you must need to make sure that you have your most recent tax form from the previous year when you're filling out the information, because they're going to ask about your finances. And that is what is going to determine how much money you are going to be awarded for the FAFSA. So all of this information on this slide is equally important because, like I said, you have one side that talks about how you can obtain free money and what that looks like. You also have to think about, okay, so I can't afford to send my student to college because I'm looking at this price tag. It's almost like shopping for a car. You see the sticker price and you get nervous and you're saying to yourself, oh my God, this is too much. But there are ways around it. I like to say that we are the consumer, and the college is the business that we're trying to get our student into. So they are going to roll out the red carpet and they're going to try to do whatever they can to ensure that your child gets in. But you also have to do some work as well, parents. And as I mentioned, research, research, research. That is so important when it comes to this process. So I've gone through quite a few things through this course. So let me know what you think. Have you really gained some value from some of the things that I have shared with you this evening? Please feel free to go into the chat and let me know what you think. I would love to hear some feedback from you. And then um, we're going to talk about something very special. And let me just ask you this. If you had the opportunity to be in a course that can teach you how to prepare for college, would you consider doing it? Put your answer in the chat, and then we're going to go on and we're going to talk about what this screen is all about. So, I did this presentation mainly because of the fact that I am extremely passionate about higher education. And I feel it is so important to educate parents on how to navigate through the college experience and know the right questions to ask and making sure that their student is getting what they need. I'm passionate about making sure that students succeed at whatever they achieve or whatever they set their mind to. And if college is their path of choice, let's work together to help them get there. So, I'm going to talk to you about a course that I'm going to be launching in a few weeks. And I want to talk about the benefits of the course. And I'm going to talk to you about how you can be a part of it because you are on this webinar or this workshop. So, the benefits of this course are that it's self paced. You can take your time doing it, and you can ask questions and reach out to me. I'll be available to provide you with whatever resources that you need. The student and the parent can learn together. So, this course that I am talking about has a parent component as well as a student component. So, as a parent, you can make the decision to just have your student take the course. But if you find that you want to take the course, then you can both take the course at the same time. And you will also get the benefit of interacting with the instructor, which happens to be me. So, the value of this course for tonight, the student success course is what it's called, is valued at $449.97. The student and parent course is valued at $599.97. But don't hang up. Don't hit end of meeting yet. I want you to listen and stick around because there's more. Here's what you will receive today for being on this platform with me and taking the time to write information in the chat, letting me get to know you, and just open yourself up and just saying, you know what? I need this information. I need to learn more about the college experience. I know an aunt that has a daughter that's going to be a sophomore next year. I need to tell her about this information. So here's what you'll receive today for participating on this course, in this workshop. I'm offering the following courses for $149.97 for Student Success 101, and the student and parent course is $297.97. But that is only applicable for the next 24 hours. But wait a minute, I've got one more thing for you. There's a bonus. If you sign up within the next 24 hours with the prices that you see on the left-hand side of the screen, you can schedule a 60-minute strategy session with me for free. But that will also be at a limited time. So I've given you a lot of information and I've given you a lot of things to think about. And now I've opened up the door for you to learn more. So, do you think that this information was valuable? Did you learn something tonight about some of the things that you need to prepare for as it relates to the college experience with your student as well as for yourself? I would love to hear back from you in the chat. So go on ahead and put your responses in the chat. I would love to hear what you think. This is where you go to register. So the course itself, the courses that I mentioned, will be available on June 13th of 2022. The link that you see here is on this page. And when you get to this link, you will be able to see the options of the courses that are available. So you have the Student Success 101 course, which is for your student only. And then we have the Parental Toolkit, which is a parent course. Now, the parent course and the student course are specifically for student and for parent. So if you decide that you want to take it together, you can take it together, or you can take the courses separately. It depends on what your preference is and what your price point is as far as your interest for the course. So if you want to take a picture of what you see on the screen, please do so. Um, Let me know if you have any questions about how to register, and we will definitely address those questions. And here is my contact information as I promised. My web address is scholarswithapurpose.org. Feel free to jump on and take a look around at the website and let me know what you think and if the information is on there is of value. My email address is scholarswithapurpose@gmail.com. My number is 475 267 9454. My Facebook, I said at Scholars with a Purpose at Facebook, but you can also select this link and type this in the search engine as well to get to the Facebook page. There's a lot of different pieces of information in the Facebook platform that you can glean from. And you can see a couple of sessions that have been recorded and that you can take a look at in case there's something that you missed. And finally, Calendly is where you can book an appointment with me. If you want to book an appointment with me, if you decide to take the class and you wanted to book an appointment to ask questions as it relates to the class, we can book an appointment and we can have a conversation. So the resources that I mentioned, I did mention them all. The only one that I did not mention was the federal student aid. Please, I implore you to sign up for the federal student aid because that has a lot of information. The common application, it will give you step-by-step guidance on how to complete the common application. And College Board, your student has an account, you should get an account as well. The resources are definitely at your disposal. You can use them over and over again. And like I said, there's many questions that have probably already have been asked that you probably want to have answers to as well. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for joining me tonight. I hope that this information was of value to you. I hope that I kept the pace and I didn't go too fast and I didn't go too slow, but I hope that the information that you received was definitely something that you can use and that you can pass on to someone that may be in need of this service. Now, does anybody have any questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to jump in and see if anybody has any questions. Okay, let's see. So, I don't see that there's any questions in the chat, so that's a good thing. So, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to end this presentation. It has been my pleasure to serve you tonight and to provide you with the information as you prepare to go on this journey with your student as you prepare for college. I hope that you enjoy your night. And again, please make sure that you have the contact information that is available so that you can take the information, write it down, ask your questions. You could call me. We can go over the presentation again if you like. And like I said, I hope that you have an amazing night. And thank you again for your participation and your willingness to give me your undivided attention. Have a good night.